let's jump right into this explainer, because today we are unpacking a massive digital transformation disaster from the recent past. And more importantly, we're going to reveal why you might actually be making the exact same project management mistake with your AI vendors right now. Look, if you're managing enterprise tools, leading a PMO, or integrating any kind of new tech stack, this case study is literally a masterclass in what happens when the illusion of safety completely replaces actual oversight.
Okay, so let's dive into this staggering number, $32 million. I mean, just imagine writing checks totaling that amount over 3 whole years, completely expecting a fully modernized digital platform. We're talking a redesigned website, a mobile app, and back-end system spanning 26 different countries. That was the ambition of Hertz, one of the world's absolute largest car rental companies. But what did they actually get for this massive investment? Literally nothing functional. No working website, no mobile app, zero. Nothing ever went live.
And hey, you don't just have to take my word for it. According to the April 2019 lawsuit filed in the Southern District of New York by Hertz against Accenture, this was the harsh reality of a 3-year project that somehow failed to deliver even basic requirements. The code was riddled with basic security vulnerabilities. It completely lacked mobile responsive design. And keep in mind, responsive design had been a standard web requirement since 2012. By 2019, building a non-responsive website was virtually unthinkable, right? Yet, this is exactly what $32 million bought them.
So, to figure out how this all happened, we're going to treat this explainer as a bit of a forensic investigation. We'll be looking at 1. The $32 million failure. 2. Scope is not delivery governance. 3. Forensic evidence of the collapse. 4. The 2026 AI vendor parallel. And 5. The independent validation framework.
Section 1. The $32 million failure, when a signed contract becomes a costly illusion. You see, the failure didn't just suddenly happen in month 35. It started the very moment they assumed execution risk was entirely manageable, simply because they signed a contract with a massive, reputable player. The timeline of the collapse illustrates this perfectly. Month 1 kicked off with detailed scopes and budgets. Great, right? But then look at months 12 through 36. 36 months of continuous billing just rolled by. Invoices were paid, meetings were absolutely held, but not a single independent quality gate, not one mobile device rendering test ever caught the fundamental flaws. The vendor just kept self-reporting that things were totally fine, and the client just kept paying.
Section 2. Scope is not delivery governance. The danger of scope as proxy.
The root assumption that totally doomed this project happened before the ink on the contract was even dry. The central error wasn't just hiring a big vendor. It was falling victim to something called scope as proxy. Now, in IT governance literature, this is a seriously flawed assumption. It's the belief that if you just define what you want clearly enough and you hire a highly capable famous vendor, while the output is guaranteed. Hertz defined exactly what they wanted, they signed the contract, and then they just stepped back, treating the vendor's reputation and the project scope as a total substitute for actual oversight.
So the absolutely crucial point here, drawn straight from our explainer analysis of the 2019 lawsuit, is this. Brand does not equal technical validation, period. A vendor's brand reputation is merely a prior assumption. It's a historical credential. It is absolutely not a technical measurement of the specific code being written by a specific team for your specific project on a random Tuesday afternoon. When you let brand replace measurement, you are basically flying blind.
Section 3. Forensic evidence of the collapse. What the industry data tells us.
Because honestly, what happened to Hertz was not an isolated incident. If we look at the 2020 KPMG Global IT Survey, it shows that 70% of large IT outsourcing engagements experience significant failure. That's huge! And moving over to the Standish Group Chaos reports, they highlight that the primary drivers of these enterprise project failures are almost always governance-related, not technical. Finally, a 2021 Journal of Management Information Systems study explicitly points out that independent client-side governance is the single strongest predictor of success. So Hertz really wasn't an anomaly at all. Their failure profile, a long timeline, super high vendor reputation, and insufficient independent technical governance, is just a classic textbook industry pattern.
If we apply a rigorous 5-why root cause analysis to the Hertz case, we can really peel back the layers here. Why did delivery fail at the final review? Well, because milestone reviews lacked technical depth. Why? Because the client totally lacked independent verification. Why did they lack that? Because they completely trusted the vendor's self-reporting. And finally, step 5, the ultimate root cause. They used the vendor's massive brand as a substitute for actual validation.
Essentially, they allowed the party producing the output to grade its own work.
Section 4. The 2026 AI Vendor Parallel, making the same mistake with different tech.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, we don't really build custom websites from scratch anymore. And hey, that's completely true. But organizations right now are making the exact same structural governance mistake with enterprise AI tools. Swapping a massive consulting brand's reputation for an AI vendor's shiny benchmark metrics is the exact same governance failure as that 2019 IT outsourcing disaster. You define a use case, you see a really impressive product demo, you look at their benchmark data, you sign a contract, and then you just rely on the vendor's own dashboard to tell you if it's actually working.
And the data proves this is a complete disaster waiting to happen. According to Workday's May 2026 data, when you rely solely on vendor self-reporting, you end up discovering a massive disconnect. A staggering 86% of employees aren't actually seeing consistent net positive outcomes in their workflows. The dashboards might be glowing green, and the vendor might be swearing up and down that productivity is through the roof, but the messy reality of the actual day-to-day workflow tells a completely different story.
So why is there such a massive disconnect? Well, because, as noted in the McDonald's IBM AI case study, benchmark conditions are clean and optimized, while production conditions are messy and real. Just like that McDonald's IBM AI drive-thru failure highlighted perfectly, a system might have incredible benchmark accuracy in a quiet, controlled lab, but you put it in a noisy, real-world drive-thru with unusual orders, people talking over each other, and background noise, it completely falls apart. Benchmark credentials are just not the same as delivery quality in a complex, real-world project.
Section 5. The Independent Validation Framework, your AI stack governance checklist.
So to ensure you don't end up writing off millions of dollars on your next AI implementation the exact same way Hertz did with their digital platform, here is your actionable 5-point Explainer AI Eval Suite framework checklist. First up, define what working actually means in your own workflow terms, completely independent of the vendor's terms, before deployment. Second, build at least one measurement mechanism that is entirely off the vendor's dashboard. Third, schedule strict 90-day independent quality reviews. Fourth, define your exit criteria before the engagement even starts. And fifth, absolutely mandate technical audits by personnel who are not involved in the original procurement decision. You have to remove that bias. You must ensure you have an evaluation suite that is totally independent from the party actually producing the work.
Look, your governance structure is truly the only thing standing between a highly functional system and a multi-million-dollar write-off. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative, concluding thought, straight from our Hertz-Accenture forensic analysis. If a vendor's benchmark is just a prior assumption and absolutely not a guarantee, and if that same vendor is currently controlling the analytics dashboard, who is actually grading your AI vendor's work today? Really think about that as you review your technology stacks this week. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, always keep questioning the dashboard.